Okay, I'm down.
So there's so much to talk about. So much has happened, or I guess not happened, on the Epstein front since we last spoke. What do you think the most important things for people to know right now are?
Well, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, adjourned Congress early so it couldn't vote on Representative Massey's bill, which ultimately wanted an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and wanted transparency about Jeffrey Epstein. And Mike Johnson would rather adjourn Congress early than have them vote on that bill, which is kind of mind boggling because Massey just wants to get to the bottom of Jeffrey Epstein's child trafficking. And Mike Johnson isn't allowing that. There has been some interesting information that has come out about our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Speaker of the House is constitutionally the third most powerful man in the country. And according to a Rolling Stone article, Johnson has an app on his phone called Covenant Eye. And his 17-year-old son has an app on his phone called Covenant Eye. And it enables them to moderate each other's consumption of pornography, which is very, very strange. And here's the thing with that. If he's into macabre pornography or any kind of child abuse material, he'd definitely be fodder for blackmail. Right. And there was a Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, for 7 years. And he, going back 40 years, he'd molested a number of boys when he was a teacher at a high school. And for some inexplicable reason, that didn't come out when he was Speaker, even though the FBI, Sibel Edmonds, testified that the FBI knew what he was up to. So that was quashed. And only after he left the government was he busted. And it's very strange how he was busted. One of his victims was blackmailing him. And Hastert was taking money out of the bank and I guess not reporting it. The FBI easily could have busted the victim that was blackmailing Hastert, but it busted Hastert instead. I mean, the FBI can get heavy and say, you leave Dennis Hastert alone or else you're going to have lots of problems with the FBI. But that didn't happen. Dennis Hastert was the one that got busted. So Speaker of the House is a very important position. And if the person is compromised, it makes running the country so much easier if you're the ones that have the compromat on the speaker.
Right. Yeah, that's a troubling trend, to say the least. I think that, it's interesting because Trump's supporters obviously delusionally thought that he was going to drain the swamp. But it's status quo. It just has rhetoric of swamp drainage.
Well, the thing about Trump supporters, a lot of them wanted transparency on this particular issue.
Right.
And all the Trump administration has given us is lies. Pam Bondi from February on has told a number of lies. She said that she was going to release the Epstein files on Fox, and then she released a nothing sandwich, which was rather troubling. And then she said she'd been bamboozled by the New York FBI field office and that there was a truckload of evidence. So now she's trusting the New York field office. But then she said something that was kind of disconcerting, that anything related to national security will be redacted. So now she has to tell us what a bunch of child molesters have to do with national security. And then going a little bit further, the Trump administration acted like they were the first ones vetting all the material that had been impounded from Epstein. When the day after Epstein was arrested, the FBI sawed open his safe, which was huge. It had the dimensions of a closet. And it pulled out discs after disc of child abuse material. And what's really troubling is there were hundreds, if not thousands, of girls that were pictured. And actually, Business Insider reported that there were 2 hard drives. So to think that that has been gathering dust in a corner of the FBI for 6 years is utterly ridiculous. I mean, it really, it's so disingenuous. And we have to get justice for those victims, because I firmly believe, and I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary, that the FBI had images of victim after victim. They're at this point, they're saying 1,000, over 1,000. But what happened to those girls? I mean, has anybody helped them? The FBI is saying over 1,000 victims, and only 225 came forward for the Epstein Victims Compensation Program. So the vast majority of Epstein's victims did not come forward. And I've been told they didn't come forward because they were frightened. And that makes a lot of sense, because they were with powerful men, and predators like Epstein really know how to dish out the threats. And with my work in other areas of child trafficking, that's kind of a constant with perpetrators and traffickers, is they really, really just instill the fear into the hearts of their victims.
Right. I actually wanted to show a clip. This is from a few years ago, but I do think it's very instructive in the way it reveals the censorship on this issue when it comes to reporting on this issue. And so this is a clip from a few years ago. It's from 2019. It's of Amy Kobach of ABC News. She's caught on a hot mic detailing how she had all this information on Epstein, Virginia Giuffre, and alleged abuse by Prince Andrew. And let's hear what she had to say.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed, because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
You know, this was released by Project Veritas. It was, one of those undercover sting operations. And Project Veritas, of course, used to be with James O'Keefe. I think he actually was fired by them, but that was his outlet. Extremely right wing. And this was proof of kind of the liberal bias against the truth. Of course, this is something I like to say, it's a bipartisan. It's beautiful to watch this bipartisan unity on the one issue, which is covering up stuff like this. But what is your response to this video?
Well, I had the Black Book for 3 years, and I went to a number of platforms and publishers with the Black Book, and no one wanted to touch it. And then finally, Gawker published it in 2015, and then the floodgates opened up on the Black Book. There's been tons of ink that have been spilt on articles about the Black Book. What I find amazing, though, is only 2 publications named me as the person ushering the Black Book into public consciousness. And that was in 2015. And I also ushered the flight logs into public consciousness, too. We released the flight logs. And what's really troubling is Pam Bondi. I released more incriminating information on Jeffrey Epstein in 2015 than Pam Bondi did in 2025. I saw the Black Book that we put up in 2015, and we redacted the numbers of the adults, and we redacted the numbers and last names of the victims. So we were very ethical, but in their rendition of redaction, they redacted everybody's name. So it wasn't very helpful, much of the information that Pam Bondi released.